Hey, Derek here at Castaway Studios. I'm back again to talk about the Rodecaster Pro and the Zoom L-8. I've been under a lot of pressure from people to make a shorter video that sums up which one's best. Now, there is no best, right? There is best for you and best for me. I use both of them. I've got two studios and I use both of them for two different types of purpose, okay? When I need things to be foolproof and I need other people to be able to handle it, I use the Rodecaster Pro in this studio, where there's a lot of users and you need to just walk in and bang the button and know you've got it, no matter what. Okay? In the other studio, with a bit more versatility, there's live music, all sorts of things going on and other inputs, and always an audio engineer on board, that is me, then I use the Zoom L-8. Alrighty, so here they are. I'll give you a little bit of background without wobbling on, right? So I used the Rodecaster Pro for well over a year since it first came out, and I've enjoyed all the firmware developments and things like that. It's an awesome machine. I use it in my professional studio here, where a lot of other users use it. I record lots of different shows on this and videos and all kinds of things. Okay, the Zoom L8, as soon as that came on the market, I got hold of one of those and used it for a solid 6 weeks for all the different uses that happen in here, and long enough to give me a solid idea of who would it be best for. I have a consulting company where people say, what should I buy, what should I use? I want to set up a studio in my office or my school or whatever, and I have to give them the right thing. Right, so I'm going to run through it like lightning. Portability, that's a win for the L8. Okay, I'll do this. Portability, L8. Okay, it's got batteries on board, and you can also power it using the USB from your laptop or device or your computer. Okay, so that's currently being powered by my computer that it's plugged into. If that unplugs or something goes wrong, that will start running off the batteries that are on board. The Rodecaster Pro is portable as well, and I know that they now make an alternative power supply which allows you to use a battery pack or a normal USB type supply to power it, which is terrific. So that's portable as well, but not as portable. So that's a win for the L8. Going on, ease of setup. So I'm talking about setting up each recording session. Massively the Rodecaster Pro here. That is a win for the Rodecaster Pro, because I can literally run in here, turn it on, turn the computer on, get the door on, and once this thing's on and I know the door's working, I can hit that big red button, and I know that this is getting the backup recorded every single channel, regardless of where the sliders are. Maybe it's important that the sound pad ones are set right, but either way, I know that I'm recording every channel onto the backup, and then you just worry about the door. So a massive win for the ease of daily setup. This one, the Zoom L8, you have to select which tracks you want to record, make sure no one's messed with the gain. There are things, and the pads aren't on. There's a few little checks that are really simple and obvious to an audio engineer or a musician, but can be a little intimidating to a new or experienced podcaster. All right, versatility. All right, the Zoom L8's the winner on that one. The versatility, because you've got more input. You can use it for music. It's got the high Z input, so you can put a guitar straight into there. It's also got pads on the other 4 XLR inputs, so you can put line level stuff straight into there. It makes it heaps more versatile, and it's also got you can do live manual equalization on each of the tracks, and if you've got someone singing or something like that, or you want to suddenly throw in a big echoey sound as part of a stage, a radio play kind of vibe, you can do that. So it's heaps more versatile. Number of tracks, all right, this one's clearly got 6 XLRs. The Rodecaster has and is limited to 4, and the only other way of getting anything in is through that TRRS cable, which the L8 also has right here. Okay, so that's definitely, there's more tracks available on the L8. All right, let's move. Preamp quality. I don't really know. My ears aren't that good, and I've got all this noise reduction stuff, so I don't even know anymore. I would suggest maybe the Rode preamps are a little bit better. I like the Zoom have never really like the L12 preamps are excellent. I think these might be the same ones or slightly less quality, but they do have this multifunction plug holes that allow you to put a 1/4 inch jack into the center of it as well, which is really handy eventually. All right, let's move. Sliders. Well, this is real. I'm gonna look at this. This is an easy one. Look at those. Massive amount of range. You've never seen any range like that on a slider ever before. That is enormous. It's like being in Abbey Road or something, right? So big sliders there with a nice resistance, a nice consistent feel, and they've got the nice little sort of gate there to stop the crumbs falling in. A big win for that. The Zoom L8, the sliders have a lovely feel. They're consistently all the same, a nice resistance. They're not going to fall or knock or slide on. They've got a nice feel. They're just really short. They're just short. You just have to sort of be really aware of how, you have to sort of get on board and move them a little bit, because you don't want to go too far in the middle of a recording or deafen anybody in the headphones. So yeah, look, they're short. They still feel nice. The Rodecasters are aluminium looking, and they look pretty cool. Big effort there. A level of control. All right, the L7 is the winner on that one. Stop saying L7. The L8 is the winner on that one. Because, you've got the gain right there, and you can whiz it up and down. You can control the EQ. It's all live. I like the control over this one. There's heaps more to the Rodecaster Pro. It's all very simple interface, but in the settings, you do have some control over some of the things in there, which is great. But if you don't need that level of control, once again, you decide. Connectivity USB. All right, so the Rodecaster Pro has a USB-C connector, which is a win compared to the micro USB on the L8. Could be just psychological, but it feels more grown up having a USB-C. The difference is the USB-C goes straight into the back of this, and if you wriggle it around or you pull it out, you're in trouble. The micro USB that goes into the L8 does a little loop underneath, a little circuit, and then plugs in up underneath, so that even if you pull the cable or someone tries to move it across the desk, it can't pull the connection out, which is pretty important, because it's also the power supply in case you haven't got batteries. So they both connect to the computer. They never have a problem as far as the actual connectivity. But physically, I like the USB-C, but I like the way this has been thought out, so it can't unplug. Monitor output. The Rodecaster Pro is massively winning in that game, because it has its dedicated pair of mono 1/4 inches to go to a monitor, and it also has a program inside of it that allows you to set it so that if you touch any of the microphone sliders, it shuts off the monitor in software. So that's bloody awesome. I haven't got that running at the moment, because when I set up my L8, it doesn't have that, but it also one of your monitors have to go out from one of the 4 possible headphone amps, right? So if let's say you send your monitors out from the 4th one, then you control it from here, and you've got to remember to turn it off right down in between, when you're recording, so you don't get the feedback. There is a trap. You can put your headphones on, sit down, get people to start recording, not realise, and then you're in big trouble because you get the echo coming through the monitors, and half the punters don't realise what's going on. So that leaves you with only 3 headphones outs. So what I did was I've got one of these out permanently set to go to the PreSonus headphone amplifier, and that is awesome because that also sends to the monitors and has a monitor mute button. So this is pro. This is how I like it. And also, punters sitting around the desk here can adjust their own volume in their headphones without reaching over this desk and touching it and getting a slap on the wrist for touching the desk, right, while I'm recording. So that is a win for having a separate headphone amp. I'd recommend that anyway. It also is easy to change between desks because one plug comes out of here and goes into there. So I'm currently running the Rodecaster through the very same thing. Okay, master out. Yeah, the Zoom L8 has 2. Let's see these 2 here. These 2-channel left and right masters. I dig it because it feels super pro, and you can run those out. They run off the same control as the first headphone out, right? So that can go straight to a house mixing board if you're doing a live recording, or it can go into an XLR lead that's at the side of a stage and go into the house system. So you can record the podcast section through this, and then send this out as stereo into the house system, if you like. So you're recording the podcast part, and musicians can be going through the house or not, or whatever. It gives you a little bit of versatility, that's for sure. So I love that. The Rodecaster clearly doesn't have that. It's not made for that kind of stuff. Sound pads, big win for the Rodecaster. The sound pads system is great. I'm just going to zoom in here and just show you a bit. All right, so you can, once you click that little button I just pressed, you get a little picture of the current pad setup. So I've got, right, these are
we are in a state of emergency.
So that's from a podcast that I've done that I pre-programmed it. There's all your standard ones that it comes with. All the good comedy ones, right? So this sound bank's great, and you can now, I think there's 8 different banks you can fill up, or there's six banks you can fill up. So I have one per regular show. So I absolutely love the sound bank on here. Since I've been using the L8, it does have sound banks. I think they're put on there so that if you really need one for a particular thing, you can. So I'm very pleased they've done it. It doesn't compete in usability and, general self-production kind of vibe anywhere near the Rodecaster Pro, but I'm glad they're there. They have to share channels with either USB in or the other USB in, which is also possibly the TRRS. So it is there as a minor function. It's kind of a bit of a workaround by the look of it. But what I do anyway is I use an old iPad. You can see it on one of my videos. Use an old iPad with the software, and I program them all into there. Gives me a bit more freedom to sit and program them, and I can plug them into either of these machines. I don't have to worry about what. I can even take it to my other studio or anywhere with me. So it doesn't matter what mixer you're going into. You've got all your sound pads. So Rodecaster Pro, the big win if you want some onboard sound banks, that's for sure. FX, Rodecaster Pro has Onboard FX, Vocal FX. I've got them running right now for the first time ever. I thought for the video I may as well. It's got the big bottom and the Aphex oral exciter and things like that. It's got a noise reduction which is brutal. Like if I spoke this quietly, it would actually just cut me off and I'd be silent. So I've never used that. It's diabolical. Be all right if you had really good mic technique and you were at a rodeo or something, maybe. But then those sounds all the background sounds are coming in when you're talking, because it's a brutal limiter. It's not drawing the noise out of the audio. anyway, so the Zoom L-8 also has a low-cut filter. Once again, I don't use it. I use it in post if I have to, and that's that. Try and make a quiet room. The L-8 has onboard effects, as on each channel you can program the equalization to, which is a big win, and it also has a few cheesy basic effects like reverb and chorus. So if you've got a vocalist and you don't want them to be super dry like your podcast talking in the intermission, you can add that to that track. All right. SD recording. All right, so the Rodecaster Pro, and this could be a win if you like a foolproofness. When you press that big button there, it records onto the SD card, if you've set it to do this track, regardless of where the slider is. Same with this, same with this, same with this. It records them to the gain, and that's how I've set it. So, yeah, so pre-fader. So it doesn't matter. You can't stuff it up. It just records what's going on in the room onto a multi-wave file that then you split. If you're going to use it, you can split it in a normal DAW, or you can use the Rodecaster Pro software. Okay, so it gives you a single file. So it seems easy enough. I use both of these machines I use only as a redundancy, as backup, so it doesn't bother me. I know that I can press that red button, and if something heinous goes wrong with the computer, then I know I can come and get that out, and it's full quality multi-track recording. Not a problem. Okay, so, but if you are using this, it does record onto all those tracks, so you get more use of disk space on the SD card. It's not really that big a deal with audio. Okay, so it says here there's 6 hours and 11 minutes left on that. With the Zoom L8, a little bit more involved because you select which tracks you want to record, and they are recorded as individual wave tracks, which is really handy if you're using it as the primary recorder, because you can put it in your computer or your reader, or link to it, and you choose track. You go, all right, I want track number 1 because that's my vocal track, and track number 4, and that's all there is there. So your SD will last longer, and you can find them easy. You don't have to go and break it apart in any particular software. So that's kind of good, but you can get it wrong. So you want to make sure you don't get it wrong, especially if it's your backup. So I don't care either way, because I don't use any of the files that are recorded onto SD on here, because nothing usually goes wrong with the DAW and the computer. All right, recording workflow. This is the big one, because when you walk in to record in my studio, if your computer's on, you open up Reaper, and you pretty much make sure it's the template's opened and it's all connected, and each microphone's making a little wiggly movement, and then you press this button and you press record on the thing, and away you go. It's a bit more involved. Well, the onboard recording, it's a little bit more involved with the workflow with this guy. Number one, you've got to make sure your monitors are off, and you've got to make sure your gain is set correctly and no one's messed with that. You've got to go through each track to make sure the equalization's just right. There's a little bit of workflow. It doesn't bother me. I like that. I like that routine. Before you record, you're fully focused on each track and what it's doing, and making sure that no previous user has been fiddling, or any kids have been fiddling with it and suddenly put a surprise chorus effect on one of your vocal channels. All right, so quite a bit more involved. Once again, simplicity is the win for the Rodecaster. Gain control. You can change the gain in here. Once again, the fact that it's not that easy to do for each channel kind of adds to the foolproofness, but with this you can physically see that you can look over and see the gain. So if someone's off mic and they whisper, you can't do anything about it, you can give their gain a bit of a boost, and once again, if they start carrying on and discovering their microphone and laughing and bellowing and it's going to clip, you've got the option of immediately turning the gain down without having to go through any settings on the touchscreen on the Rodecaster Pro. So gain control, big win for the L-8. Mix minus, the Rodecaster Pro and the L-8 both have a TRRS input with an onboard mix minus, allowing you to plug it straight into an iPhone or any other kind of mini jack type vibe, and do a phone call where it automatically takes what the phone is sending out of the mix, so it sends everything back. You've got really no more or less control in either of these machines for that particular one, for that particular track. But the L-8 does have the option of setting up old school mix minuses if you want to, because it has the programmable headphone out on 3 of these tracks. So you can actually use the old-fashioned technique, which is what we used before the Rodecaster Pro less than 2 years ago, and you can run another 3 mix minuses through that if you want to. The Rodecaster Pro has a setting that allows you to add mix minus in the USB connection, which is great for Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, any Discord, anything that uses the computer audio, and that's pretty terrific. That's been well thought out. Pretty stoked about that. It's a big win for the Rodecaster Pro. Headphone control. The Zoom L8 allows you, say if you're a musician, if you're a drummer and you only want to hear the bass player, you can program your headphone out to favour the bass player and, leave out the keyboards or whatever, especially if it's like crazy jazz and you just want to hear the bass. So for musicians, that's kind of a handy feature. The only feature really in podcasting for these programmable outs, once again, is that extra mix minus option. Okay, so high Z attenuation is a big win once again outside the realm of just normal podcasting, but the first 2 tracks here you can there's a high Z button allowing you to put a musical instrument straight in there and press that, and it doesn't distort, gives you control, still gives you control. And the other 4 is a classic attenuator or pads minus 26 dB, which allows you to put line level input into those through either the XLR or in the centre there, 1/4 inch mono. So that's kind of handy if you want to put another audio in coming out of a keyboard or God knows what. So pretty handy, once again, versatility, usually outside of the normal everyday podcasting realm. Pretty cool though. Display. Well, this is the big one if this is your thing, right? The display on the Rodecaster Pro is magnificent. It's a work of art. It's a touch screen, nice, great big flowing LEDs to let you know, good colours, and you can work your way around there with a touchscreen that always works. There's never been a problem with it. Very, very sensitive touch screen, so it works really well. Absolutely love it. In contrast to the Zoom L8, which is probably the biggest surprise of the year, is this tiny, tiny little LCD, little black and white, well, grey and white LCD, which is probably the screen from the H4n, which is a good old workhorse that we've all used for many, many years. It's all workable using this button, which is a press button and a knob, and all of this area here. It's all doable and all the features are there. You've just got to be willing to get in and learn your way around. And if you're not willing to do that, then this Rodecaster Pro is going to be a walk in the park for you, that's for sure. All right, so once again, your priority will decide how important that is compared to the versatility. Drivers. This is a big one because disappointingly Rode just never really got that so far. Never really got the driver thing happening. I don't know much about the tech of drivers and how it works, but I'm guessing that it's a huge development budget that they didn't spend. This one works using Wasapi drivers straight into Reaper and various other things. Absolute bulletproof and never ever a problem. Whereas using it in Adobe Audition, which needs the ASIO drivers, didn't cut it. So there was no drivers. So you had to put in a third-party ASIO for all software, and it was too much for me to handle. So I started just using Reaper for recording. Now I use Reaper all the time, and I love it. So there you go. The Zoom never muck up. So Zoom plugs in. They've got the drivers sorted out. Plugs into whatever you want it to plug into, and straight away is working. Not a problem. So Zoom win, and they were always going to, because they've been doing it for years and doing it really well. Power supply, we talked about the cables. The power supply on the Zoom is a win on the Rodecaster Pro, because it's got a screw in, so you haven't got that accidental pull out, but it has to, because if you accidentally pull it out, it's all gone. You've lost your show that you're recording on board. The power supply on the Zoom L-8 is terrific, because if you pull it out, you've got batteries on board, assuming you've got them in there and they're charged up, and so you've got that redundancy. What I don't like is that the power comes through the USB cable. So if you're using it with a laptop, it is drawing its power from the laptop, which kind of limits the length. If you're trying to record an hour and a half live podcast or something like that, it's a bit annoying when your MacBook Pro battery is under extreme pressure, trying to get through the show without going flat if you are somewhere without power. All right, but both of them are powered up fine. Size, the acreage is probably very similar. I'd say the Rodecaster's a bit bigger, really not much higher in the end, and it's narrower, but the Zoom is a little bit taller. Usable space, though, the Rodecaster uses up a lot more desk space, because the cables all come out the back. So you've literally got an extra half again, and you can see them all coming out the back here. So if you're trying to put it somewhere, like the Zoom L8 can go up in the corner of a small streamer desk or something like that, they can go right up to the wall, and then the cables, come out in a big mess. But at least they're not kind of pushed against the wall on their cables. So size, the L8 if you've got limited space. All right, so briefly, what's happening here is you've got two machines that are going to suit two different lots of people. If you're a podcaster, and that's you're not even a podcaster, you're about to be a podcaster, and you just want simplicity and foolproof, the Rodecaster Pro is a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece of engineering and ideas and everything. It's a breakthrough moment. If you are a little bit concerned about spending the extra money, and you think, wouldn't it be good if I could also use it to record my banjo playing or whatever, or just pick it up with the batteries on board, or any of the other features that this have, then you're going to love it. There's no flaws in it. There's nothing that doesn't work properly. All right, so both of these machines can be used by two different people, different types of people, really, really well. So put in the thought now, and don't get one of these just because if you're a muso or whatever, or you really are going to need a few extra inputs. Don't get the Rodecaster Pro just because you're a little bit scared of all the knobs and things, because it really is a quick learning curve to work this thing. Me, in my studio, where people have to come in and use it by themselves sometimes, or in a school where I'm setting this up, it's always going to be the Rodecaster Pro, because it just has to be recorded. It has to have worked. All right, I can't have someone going, I forgot to record that track, or I didn't realise the gain was down, or whatever. So this is important to me. So this will be in Studio 1 and Studio 2, where I'm always the engineer and I'm running the show. The Zoom L8 will be in effect. And my Zoom L12, which I have for doing going to venues and stuff, that will interchange with the L8 quite nicely, depending on which one I have to take. So that's really nice because it's a lot of the same functionality. No sudden relearning. All right, so I hope that helps, and I hope it's not as long as the other one. I'm yet to check, but these two magnificent machines, one of them will suit you, and just hit the comments and ask, for God's sake. Just ask. This is what it's really about. Just if you're worried about one thing or you don't quite get what I've been on about, just ask me in the comments. That's what I'm here for. I'll answer every single one. All right, that is it.